All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's graphic design section at You Inspire. My name is Abdurrahman Miriam, and I'll be your moderator for this section. So today we're having two classes. So each facilitator will be using one hour each. This section is going to be very exciting and practical. So I want each and everyone to take this section very serious and ask questions. Please, if you don't understand, you see, I'm emphasizing on the word please. If you have questions, kindly ask, please. So the first section, we're going to focus on branding and logo design, where we'll explore how to create strong brand identities and visually appealing logos that communicate values and meaning. You know, we see a lot of logos, and some, when you see them, you'll be like, what's this? So today we're going to be looking into that. So please pay attention, note questions down. Maybe probably when the facilitator is talking, you could not ask, so you can note them down somewhere. So when it's done, you can ask the question or probably drop them. Permit me to welcome the facilitator, our first facilitator, which is in person of Mr. Onyeride David. So Mr. Onyeride David, are you with us? Handing over to you now.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So Mr. David is going to be taking over from here. So thank you.
Yeah, good morning. Good evening, everyone. As you know, my name is Oyerinde David, and would be taking today's class on branding and logo design. So at first, I would like to throw a question to the house generally. So you can type in the chat box. So who understands what branding is? Let's see. Who understand what branding is? Your own idea of what branding is? Anyone? In the chat box. Anyone in the chat box? Okay. So since I'm not seeing replies, I guess I'm going to have to continue sharing my screen. Okay, so like I said, today we are going to continue with branding and logo design. So okay, now we have answers in the chat box. Somebody is saying branding is basically how people feel, think about you, and okay, a unique form of packaging. Okay, so the two answers are right. So branding is okay, I would say few of us now understand a little of what branding is. So we'll try to dive into the class and then we'll continue from there. So introduction to branding. So my definition here says branding is the complete perception of a business in the mind of the customer. Branding is how business is positioned, how a business positions itself in the market. A strong branding creates familiarity, trust, and emotion connection. So the CEO of Amazon says that branding is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So that makes me feel like branding is far more important than just something that you can relate to a particular business or an organization. You can often relate branding to yourself because it's more like your appearance, I would say branding is your image, what you present yourself to be. So some of the ways at which we can communicate brand to the outside, from the definition, it's like you are trying to position yourself, you are communicating, passing emotion, connection. The ways at which we can do this. So we have the visual identity, which are the logos, the color, typography. We have the brand voice and messaging. We have customer experience and interaction. So those are the things that make branding. Those are the things that makes up branding, in the sense that when I say Apple now, you can always relate to luxury. You can always relate to the premium feelings and all that. So that's what branding is. So we'll move to importance of branding. Sorry, I might be rushing today because we have limited time. So if you have your questions, just note them down. Then when it is the Q&A section, you can always ask. So I said, why branding? So branding establish credibility and professionalism. It helps customer to recognize and remember the brand. It differentiates the business in a competitive market. It communicates brand values and personality, and it influences customers' perspective and buying decisions. So why brand identity matters. So we can see the number one on this list is probably something that has just happened to you now. When I mentioned Apple, I mean, you can always say, okay, Apple is a good product, Apple is this, Apple is that. So it helps customers to recognize and remember the business. The moment I mention Apple, I'm very sure so many people in this meeting picture Apple that has been eaten in a site. Yes. So you have that image up there, and then not just the apple, you visualize that clean concept. So basically, I would say branding is something that we know, and then when I say why it matters, we all understand that concept. So without wasting too much of our time, we'll move to one of the ways at which a brand communicates, at which a brand represents themselves, which is a logo. So what is a logo? So a logo is a visual representation of a brand. It serves as the face signature of a business. So like I said, when I mentioned Apple, a lot of people picture the apple that has been eaten at the side. That's just the way it works. So your logo is like your signature as a business. Your logo is something that speaks about you, even where we are not saying a lot of stories, even when we are not saying just that same single element standing alone and then saying a lot of things about you. So that's basically what a logo is. So it is a concept that appears all over the touch points, like the social medias, the website, packaging, marketing, a lot of things. So what are the things that your logo should say? What are the language that your logo should speak? What are those, like the way your logo is supposed to come? So your logo is to be recognized instantly. It should be instantly recognizable. Your logo should reflect the brand identity. Your logo should work across different platforms. So we understand the concept of your logo being recognized like instantly. That's like one very sharp thing. Like I have given the example, see products like Dell, Apple, see products like HP, see products like uh, even item 7. All those things, once you see them, they are, I've mentioned something across consumables, not just product alone. So that shows you that your brand communicates around whatever what you are, even if you're offering the services, your brand communicates. So, and it should be recognized immediately. So the last one I said, it should work across different platforms. So this explains why so many brands have like a logo in form of a logo as in what it is, and then they have the logo in form of an icon in case if they have to reduce the size of whatever logo they are using, it won't be deformed or won't be seen properly. So in order for number one to be in the concept of their logo, they have to like come up with two aspects of the logo. So the logo itself and then the logo in icon form, uh, and sometimes the logo in text form. So I'll move. We can see some of these brands that examples of popular logos. We can see some of these brands that the moment we see them, in fact, without seeing some of their names, we know what they are, we know what they do, without even thinking twice. So as some of the examples. So the principles that you should follow to achieve an effective logo or a effective logo, sorry. So the core principles of logo designs, they are simplicity. So simplicity, that is, make your logo easy to recognize and remember. So let your logo be something that you can see. And then once you see it, you know that okay, this is somebody's logo, this is Apple's logo. And then even when you are going, somebody mention Apple, you can still picture it. So that's something that we credit you even as a designer generally. If you can do something that can leave emotions with people, not just the fact that they see it and then they forget instantly, something that sticks to their head. So simplicity and then making it so that point leads us to the second point here, which is memorable, like something that lasts a long impression, something that stays a while. And then we have the versatility. So that's your logo being your logo working as a black and white concept, working in whatever color you give it. That's your brand color. Working as a print, working well as digital. So it's not that you have a logo that only when you print it, that's when it makes sense, or that's when it communicates what it is meant to communicate. Or you have a logo when it is in the color that it should, that's when it's communicating what it should. Or you have a logo that only when it is on a digital platform, and when it's communicating what it is. So, and then we have the timelessness. So the timelessness is a concept that is a bit deep. I'll just try to or explain it with a better example. So if you can stick with this concept, this principle in a design, one of the things that you can get from it is that you have a logo that stays longer. So if you look at Apple as an example, Apple is a brand that is recognizable across the world. So I would love to use Apple as an example. So if you look at Apple for an example, if you go online right now, you are going to see like you check the logos that Apple have used. So you will realize that they've once used a particular logo before they come up to this concept that they are using currently. So the fault with that logo is this number 4 principle. So the fact that at the point the logo is starting to fade away, it's not doing what it should, as in the communication it's supposed to pass, not passing it. So they have to change it to something that will last long and stick. So that's the concept of timeliness. And then we have the relevance. So you cannot just bring up a logo that doesn't really work for what you're doing. So think of it. I am a company that produce shoes like Nike or Nike. I don't know how you pronounce it correctly. So let's say I am that company, and then I am producing a logo, and then I have my logo communicating a driver, or I have my logo communicating something that has to do with toddlers, people that don't even wear shoes that much. I have to tie that. I have to tie it to something that people can always relate with. I don't know if you go through the story of Nike. One of the things that make them popular and some other brands across shoes is that they tie some of their concepts around around athletes, people that run, people that play football, basketball, and stuff like that. So that's another thing. That is where the branding works perfectly. You see, their logo might have been communicating something about the brand, something else about the brand, not really what the brand offers in the point. But then they position themselves to always tie themselves around that thing that they offer their service for. So that is one of the styles on what's it called, on the relevance of brand in general, not even logo this time around. So we can look at the Air Jordan, the concept behind the Air Jordan. That's like something that's really generated times 10. I'm very sure more than times 10 of income for what's it called? Nike. So that's how important logos or branding can be at the same time. So type of logo, we have the watermark, and sorry, we have the word mark. That's the type logo. We have the symbol or icon based logo. We have the embedded. We have the combined. So there is a particular concept that I do like to use to explain the type of logo. I call it the 8 type of logo. So let me see if I can share that to. Let me see if I can share that to my screen. Yes. I don't know if you can see my screen right now. Okay. So if you look at this particular picture, you are going to see an example of the embedded logo. So we can see an example is BMW. That's something that I think we all know and we can relate to. So that is them putting the concept of the logo inside a particular craft. That's just like the way the name is, chat. So we have that's the sorry, the logo, and then we have the number 2, the aftermark. So this is what I was trying to explain, that you see, this is Adidas, this is Pepsi, this is Nike. So on these logos, they don't really write it that Adidas are into wearables like shoes, joggers, and the rest, or Nikes, or there is a bottle of Coke, or I'm sorry, there's a bottle of drink on the Pepsi logo. But then they've tried to communicate it in such a way by passing messages through some other things that they do, through some of their brand personalities. And you can check the mascot logo too. So, which is a very great example, is the KFC concept. So we have the number 4, which is the word mark. Example is Google, Coca-Cola, Uber. So they are literally writing the name of the brand out as a logo, and then they are applying some concepts like fonts, like colors, like type thesis and stuff like that. So we have the 5th one, which is the Apple concept. So we can see the communication around it. They really give an illustration of what they are saying to you. I don't know if you get that concept. They give an illustration, not necessarily writing it that, okay, we give you swift tweet, like Twitter. They use concept of a bird, like, stuff like that. Then we have the letter mark. We have the combination. So that's the concept that it's actually used by a lot of companies. So they combine like 2 concepts together. So we can see this, we can see this, we can see the Slack too. So we have the letter form too, which is something that we can often remember is Netflix. So these are the 8 concepts I do go through personally to to pick my ideas when I'm trying to create logos. That okay, so what should I use for this concept that is facing me currently? So let's go back to the slide. So we have 30 more minutes. Let's go back to the slide. So having explaining some of those stuff, I wouldn't be going through all the concepts all over again. Some of the things that I've showed us in the picture are here, and then just an explanation of them, like a deep explanation of them, trying to see the way they come up and some of the things that we use for them. So we can see the icon-based logo. You can see this too. You can see the combination concept. So logo design process. So logo design process comes with the research concept, the sketching, the concept development, the digital execution, and then refinement, and then the final delivery. So this is the basic rules, but this is 2026. So as for me, I would say my own process is, first of all, the context. I'm sharing my personal process with you guys now. The context. So the context is that if I'm coming up with, now I'm going to be explaining these 6 things alongside with the way I explain my process, because we don't have time. So, we mentioned research. So understanding the brand, the competitors, and the audience. So in my own, style, we are definitely going to go through this across each stage, like every stage. You are going to do your research at every stage. So first is context. So I first ask myself, so this brand that I'm creating, what's the niche? What's the niche? What's the environment at which it's going to stand in? That is what I trying to say by the context. The environment at which it's going to stand in. Okay, so think of Apple now. Apple communicates technology, sleek products, something clean, modern, something premium. And then I am creating a brand that is tying itself around that niche. So from my research, I know it's tying itself around that niche. So I look for context, like an environment, places where stores like Apple sit, where stores like Samsung sit, where brands that communicate all those things sit. I imagine that there is a logo on it, and then I place it there. I just do some kind of imagination and put it there. So that way, everything I'm going to be doing after then, even sketching, even the concept development, everything is going to tie around that concept that way. So that way, we are not going to, have to finish the logo and then go back and say, okay, while I was doing this, I didn't touch some of this area. While I was doing this, I didn't think about if I'm going to put this logo on a billboard, how is it going to do, something like that. So then I go to the category. Which is also part of a research process. So I look at, I look at the niche. I look at stuff that where the logo blends in, like the way I've mentioned Samsung, I've mentioned Apple, I've mentioned Dell. So now I have my logo. I'm going to look at what I can do to make my logo stand out, in the sense that it still communicates that concept, but then when you see it, it does not just feel like a tool set. When you have a toolbox and you have several screwdriver in it, you just pick screwdriver, and the only thing you use to differentiate them is sizes and maybe star or flat. So come up with a concept that makes them stand out. Think of the fact that your screwdriver is always straight. You have a screwdriver that is zigzag. And then it's not just zigzag for no reason. Maybe it's zigzag due to the fact that you can, fold your screwdriver at the point, then you can stretch it at the point. That kind of concept. That is what I mean. How it's going to stand out in that niche, so that when they see it, they say, "Oh, this is David's Brown." Then I now move to the sketching. Now I know what I want. I know where I'm going, so I now sketch it out. And mind you, sketching is not the perfect appearance of your logo. At times, you might end up doing something slightly different from your sketching. So, time will not permit, I would have showed you some sketches and how they've turned out to be. So I'll just move on and say, from sketching, you make sure that your idea is out, and then you put them on the digital platform. That takes us to the number 4 of the normal process. So that takes you to the digital platform. That is when you upload your concepts, your sketches to softwares like Adobe Illustrator, softwares like CorelDRAW. Yes, the fact that we have concepts in, like, we all think differently and we are creative in different perspectives. So we can still have people that use more tools like Figma, like Canva, more design tools that give them space to explore. And besides, we're in the AI age. A lot of designers use AI to aid their creativities. So they don't really follow strict processes. So after you sketch your design, you put it on one of these tools, and then you start sketching out. Then you do your refining. After you are done with your refining, then you check for anchor points. Check for anchor points. So, when you are done, you look at you put your logo in outline when you are done. Let me show you an example of what I mean. So, let me see if I can see a logo that would explain that quickly. We'll just have to continue. So if we look at this concept, this is a rough sketch. This is a rough sketch of one of my designs. I just finished it, and I'm trying to clean up. So I've cleaned most of the process that I would love to share with you. But what I mean by the outline of a logo is that you go to a point like this where you can pick strokes, and on some other design tools like CorelDRAW, it is outline, not stroke. So you give a stroke to it, a particular color stroke to it, and then you take out the main color of the design, the fill. There's always fill in any design tools. So you take out the fill. Now you get to see your design outside, like on an outline, no colors. So then you can always look at all these anchor points, all these parts of your designs, all these sharp edges, and then you can see it. You see that they're having, you're having several points, and then at this point is curved, at this point is curved, at this point is sharp, at this point is sharp. Can your logo make a perfect sense and also have like some sense of consistency without its colors? So that's what I mean. So I'll go back to the slide. Those are the steps that you should take if you are going to start sketching a logo, if you are going to start designing your logo. And then the final point is the point at which you deliver your logo. So we have the PNG form, we have the SVG form, we have the PDF form. So logo don't often come in PDF form like for users, but most importantly, make sure that your logo is always ready in SVG form and then in PNG form. So I would love to show us those form. I can just do a screenshot in case of, like, for those people that don't know it, I can just do a screenshot and send it to the group. So I go to the color theory. Color theory is something that I think we've talked about in some of the sections that we did. So the color principle is just when you understand each colors and what they communicates. So in these days where we have the Google and all those things, like we have the open AIs, we have all of those things. So you can generally just search for colors that communicate compassion, for an example, colors that communicate urgency, colors that communicate energy, colors that communicate growth, luxuries, and all those things. So you have not just even one color to pick from at that point. You have several colors, and then you understand, and then if you feel like you just really want to know these things, you can fetch for resources online to study color physiology. So that way you understand what each colors communicate. You don't just use colors randomly. You understand? You don't just use colors randomly. When you use a color, it communicates a perfect stuff. So like the design I showed you guys on Adobe Illustrator, meanwhile, I forgot to tell you this tool I just showed you now is Adobe, it's called Adobe Illustrator. So the design I just showed you on Adobe Illustrator is as the brand name of the majestic concept. So we can see from the color, it has the golden ingredients that communicates royalty. So that's just what this slide is talking about. So and when we have the type fonts, we have the sans serif, we have the serif, we have the script. So the serif communicates classic stuff, formal stuff. So when I say classic, something that you know that it lasts for a very long time. It lasts for a very long time. Something that don't go old, something that can't get old. That's classic. Formal, we all know what formal is. Then the sans serif. The sans serif is modern, for modern and clean stuff. Perfect is the Apple. You can see they use Aria. So you have the script, you have the elegant, creative. That's the concept. So at times you use a script in playful concepts too at times. So when you consider color and typography, it's a very strong concept for you to stand on. You are producing a brand that makes sense that way. So we're going to application of logo in business card. So this is just an example. So literally you are designing from your ideas of general design principles, but this time around you are making use of your logo to communicate the business, as in a business card. So that way you can pick your business name, the person's name, phone number, email address, social media, and all those things are optional. I mean the address and the social media and those. So when you put these on a design, then you now follow it with the color concept of the brand. So that teaches you how to, I mean, there you would have to make use of your ideas on how to interchange color concept, the way the color was exchanged in the front page and in the back page. So then we can see the design of the logo. We can see this is Open Gate Real Estate. So we can if you look at the logo now, you can picture a building. Like somehow you can see a building inside the logo, but then if you look at it very well, it's really not a logo. It's really not a building. So that is what creativity does when it comes to logo. So when it's like implanting something inside people's mind, even if that's what's not you are giving them directly. It's like I'm holding my phone, saying this is a shoe, and I'm holding it in such a way that each time you look at it, you just can't help but to see a shoe. So that's the whole concept. So for designing a business card, you just have to follow all the principles as regarding logo. So design your logo separately, and then you follow the regular design principles. I think we went through that for to achieve this concept. So I'm very sure less than 20 minutes left. So this is an activity that we should practice, but we really don't have time on our side. So I would really advise you, if you are new to this, if you've not done this before, try and practice it. If you encounter difficulties, you can always um, reach out for guidelines. So you can try this activity. So in case you don't, you might forget, you might want to do a screen gap right now. So you can do this practice later. So and then this is an assignment you have to submit. So you are going to do a professional logo and a business card. So you are going to add your logo to the business card. So on the slide we showed us an example of a business card and a logo on it. So you are going to be communicated on how to submit the assignment. So you don't need to come to anybody's DM to ask that um, when are we submitting the assignment. You are going to receive a message as regarding the link you are going to use to submit the assignment. So it is an image you can upload. An image on Google Drive. Sorry, Google Form. So I'm sure by now we ought to have learned some of these things that are listed in that. So you ought to have understand brand fundamentals, applying logo design principle effectively, creating a functional professional business logo or a logo, designing a clean and modern business card. How we can make a business card on Canva real quick. So I'm going to be very fast as regarding that. So I would need us to pay attention because we are really running out of time. So while this is loading, I'll just share us what I would call a brand design. Yes, let me say that way. What I would call a brand design. So something that you can often present that so you can see this, we can see the brand logo here, we can see its name, we can see the brand presenting itself as an icon, just like I explained the other time that some brand would have to do their logo in different ways so they can stand on different platforms. So we can see the logo on the shirt, we can see logos on devices, on materials. So that's like showing you how the brand can stand on different kind of things and still communicating the message it's ought to communicate. So the network over here seems not to be on our side. Okay, somebody's saying I should share the color again. Where is that color? Okay, I'll come back to that. I'll just come back to that. So without wasting too much of our time, let's just get. So when you get to Canva, you click the template button, and then you search for a business card, or rather, let's see if we have a business card amongst this option of the book. Yes, a business card. So you can see a business card here. So once you click a business card, you have the opportunity to create a blank business card. So as for the first person, that is why you need to do a research when you are starting your design. So you get to see the things that may not work for a long time. So you do a very deep research. So that means as a designer, you need to understand trends, you need to understand classic concepts. So that is how you know that your logo is going to stand long. And then how you know that your logo is no longer in shape is when the concepts that you use for your designs are no longer in use again. You understand? When you start looking like a old version, and then there is nothing really special about that your logo that makes it seems like something that you would not forget easily. So that's just it. So please, the next question. All right. So if we really don't have questions any longer, or we are unable to unmute and speak, you can type your questions in the group, and then we would please let's not forget the assignment. Like I'm still going to explain how to achieve the concept of the business card. So, but then let's put it in mind that that's an assignment that we need to submit. So I think that is all for now. That's
Yeah, all right, Mr. David. Thank you very much for that practical, insightful presentation you just did. We really appreciate that. And I hope each one of us here on the call as well have been able to at least got one or two knowledge from what he just lectured us on. So we'll be welcoming the second facilitator in person of Mr. Joshua Onyinloye, who is going to be taking us on posters and flyer design. So he's going to be taking us on that aspect, posters and flyer design. That is his topic. So, Mr. Joshua, over to you.
Okay, so now we'll just head straight on creating on how, well, this is an introductory class actually, on how we can create promotional flyers. How we can create promotional flyers and posters. So we'll be using Photoshop as the key to do that. We can use Canva to do that also, but my major focus will be on Photoshop. So I'll just read out I'll explain some key things you need to know while doing this, and then we'll head straight to Photoshop. Well, my Photoshop, remember the last class, I couldn't record with my Photoshop, so I just created a remedy to that. So I recorded a video, and then I'll explain as video is going. Okay, so I'll just share my screen now. Okay, so poster and flyer design. Now we're going to be creating an effective promotional material, and then I'll explain step by step on how we can do this. Now, when we speak about promotional flyer, what is being spoke about? You see, majorly what you see online, most brand, when you see an eye-catchy flyer, and you were just glued to that design, to that particular design of flyer, because of the way it was structured, and the text and the images were balanced, and it was so captivating. And you're like, wow, this is nice. And most importantly, they were trying to pass an information. That is the most important thing. And well, on seeing it, you could get every detail of that design of that flyer. So now that flyer can either, bring people on board, or get people to register for something, or to come to an event, or to attend certain programs. So that's non-promotional flyers are usually made, in such a way so that they can get the attention of people, so that they can get leads or gigs. Yes, and then promotional flyer is a single page marketing material designed to inform, tell people about an event, like I said earlier, or a product, to grab attention quickly with visual impact and bold designs, and to persuade, motivate people or audience to take specific action. Those are the key area of promotional designs, and these are what most brand does. When you say design, telling you to register for this, telling you to book now. For instance, will I say a real estate company now, they want you to book an appointment for instance, to survey a land, or they want you to purchase a land. So they'll keep making designs, promotional designs. Sometimes can be just happy new month, can be a promotional design for a company. Yes, it's a strategy, just posting it out, and then you see a call to action in that particular design to book now or to register. Now it combines text, images, design element to communicate the message effectively. It must have this combination of elements to make sure that the information is communicated very well. Why do we use promotional flyers? Now to advertise events, most especially concerts, church programs, workshop. You want somebody to register, you want someone to buy your product. If you're a business person, you mostly use a promotional flyer to do this. Yes, it makes sure that your business is being portrayed out properly. Yes, also it also promotes product or service to the right audience. It promotes the product or service to the right audience. The kind of design you do will determine those that will pay attention to it. There are designs that young people like Gen Zs will mostly pay attention to. Yes, and there are designs that elderly persons, if the design is contains much of stylish fonts and decorative stuffs, just know that if you are portraying that particular flyer to brands or elderly people to grab their attention, you might not get it because most of them find it difficult to read those stylish fonts. So now, if you want people to come for an event, for instance, a concert or a church program, and your target audience are the youth, the student, campus students, and young professionals and the like. You use the kind of fonts that are contemporary and majorly used presently, and which are those stylish fonts. If you know how to use them properly, yes, it grabs the attention of people when properly used, and also build brand awareness and recognition. Promotional flyer, when a particular brand is being the brand identity of a particular brand is followed strictly by the designers, it builds brand awareness and recognition. And when they are seeing this kind of promotional flyer consistently, the same pattern, the same colors, the same text, fonts, and but different designs, and it keeps saying the same message of that particular brand, yes, it creates brand awareness. People will recognize that particular brand. It also attracts a target audience quickly with cost, and is cost effective. So now the reason why promotional, there are some designs that will not be tagged promotional flyer because you're just designing, and then promotional flyer majorly have a reason, a purpose why it's going out. Yes, for concerts now, you are inviting people to a particular concert, to a program, to a show, a church program. You are inviting people there to attend, and you have a target audience. So you have to create a promotional flyer. That's why I call it promotional flyer, to make sure that people see it and they are attracted to it and they are in the program. And a workshop, for instance, you want to organize a workshop for different tech skills. You need a very eye-catchy professional promotional flyer, and also encourage immediate response or action. Yes, that's why we use promotional flyers. Now, what do we see as the characteristics of effective promotional flyer? Number one, the design must be eye-catching. Yes, it must be eye-catching. Use both colors, striking image, and dynamic layout. If you're just designing for yourself, where you can do certain things, you have a level of creativity that you can explore your creativity. But if you are designing for a particular brand, they already have their colors, they have their text, they have everything you need to follow. So if you don't follow this, you are deviating from the brand identity, and that design might not be used. So now you have to stick to that particular brand identity, their colors, the logos, the text, the fonts they use. And then that will structure how you promote a particular event for that company. You must have a clear headline, bold, direct statement that immediately grabs attention. Go straight to the point. Whenever you're doing a promotional flyer, it only goes straight to the point, so that people just see it. For instance, you're in a car, you're in a moving vehicle, and just see the poster on the billboard, and the first thing you could see was the bold text, and it grabbed your attention. You're able to read it immediately. So that is the one effective characteristic. When the text is bold enough, the main message of that particular promotion you're trying to make, and the information there must be concise. You don't need much information that's so bulky, and the designer how will you start reading? Where you don't even know where to start reading from. You don't even know how to navigate through the flyer, and you have to calm down and start reading. No, an effective promotional flyer should have concise information. Yes, some of us that do designs, you'll notice that Some people just give you design and they will give you epistle, like a lot of information to write to put in a flyer, and you're like, oh, they are too much. Most of them, they were like, we need it like that. Well, the design will not might not yield the most fruit that it's meant to be. Make the design concise. The information, they make it concise, straight to the first to the point, focused, and every word in that particular design should earn its place. Number 4 characteristics: visual hierarchy. Yes, there must be visual hierarchy in that. What are you portraying? What image do you want to use to illustrate what you want to do, or that particular promotion? What image do you want to use? And then that will now make your work organized. Arrange them in a particular canvas. Make sure that it is giving us an appealing yes design. And also strong city, very, very important. This is one of the most important aspects. A clear call to action that tells reader what to do next. Okay, for instance, you are promoting, you have a conference room and you want people to start renting it, and you create a very an eye-catchy design promotional flyer, and there's no call to action. Okay, you have a conference room. What do you do with it? So you need a CTA, which is call to action, to give an instruction of what your potential clients to do next. Something like purchase now, or you can book now before the space is being booked. Something like that is, and then you put a number or a contact info that they can use to reach out to that particular organization. Remember, we are doing designs. We have to follow the designs principle. Very important. We have to follow design principle. Number 1, hierarchy. There are different design principles, yes, but for this hierarchy, arrangement of elements in order of importance to guide the reader's eye. You are the one to guide what the reader sees, what your client sees, or what people outside will see. It's your duty to do that. You guide them by placing the visual elements in order of importance to guide them, and then balance. Even distribution of text and visual creates visual harmony. When there is even distribution of text, not everything are not too big and everything are not too small. There are some texts that are meant to be so big so that it will catch the attention of people from afar, and then there are some that are like more or less like short text. They are meant to be, not too big, more or less like second header. Yes, so it should be a little bit smaller, and then the footer, which is usually location, it shouldn't be too big. Yes, it should just be there, placed underneath, or it should not be too big, but it should be a sizable size so that people can see it clearly. And then contrast, very important when you're doing design. Contrast is very important. Colors, size, and height highlight key information. Highlight key information whenever you're doing this. Highlight key information, and the colors and the size, the weights of this particular colors and size usually highlight. You can also use that to highlight key information. And then sometimes you can just place a little background in your image, or your text rather, to make sure that that particular information is seen and read by the customer or client. Now, alignment is very important. Alignment, make sure that your work is well aligned. If it's aligned to the right, make sure that they are properly aligned to the right. If it's aligned to the left, if it's centrally aligned, make sure that they are well aligned. Spacing, white spacing reduce cluster and improve readability. If your work is too jam-packed and there are too much text, there are too much this, there and there, it will not be appealing. When people see the design, they'll be complaining. Yes, that will be the major stuff. People will just tend to complain when they see it instead of appreciate that design. So white spacing is very important. The space between one image and the other, the space between a text and the other is very important. It should be well balanced whenever you are doing a promotional flyer. Now, typography and visual elements. Typography, use readable complementary fonts. Use readable complementary fonts. Make sure that it's readable for your target audience. Remember, for your target audience, make sure it's readable. And then limit to 2 to 3 fonts. Even sometimes 3 fonts is usually much. Well, it's still a bit okay, but make sure there are no much fonts in your design because it causes distraction majorly. When there are much fonts in your design, it causes distraction. And bold and size up key information. Bold and size up key information. Maintain consistent font pairing. Maintain consistent font pairing. Font pairing rather. Font pairing. You should not use, for a particular design, there are fonts you cannot use at all for a design. There are fonts you cannot use at all, and it will just distort that particular design. And whenever you're doing a promotional flyer, this is more or less like a professional flyer because you have a goal to attract people, to catch your attention. So you must be very careful. If you're working for a brand, they have the font they use already. Stick to that font because that is what you use very well. And then if you're just doing a work for yourself or somebody or a church that doesn't really have a brand identity, then the fonts you use must be consistent and it must be able to pair with each other. Like how would I put it now? Relating to the theme or relating to that particular event you're trying to get people to. And then the image placement, use only high quality, crisp image. Most designs I see sometimes the image quality is very bad. Whenever the image quality is bad, it destroys that design, like totally destroys the design because the image is part of what people look at. When I say design and the images, in fact, I will keep on looking at that image because the quality of that image is eye-catching on its own. So the quality of image you use in a design can also attract the kind of people that will see it. Yes, can make people stay long in your design. Place images to support messages. Place images to support the message. Ensure image reflects your audience. Ensure the image you use reflects your audience and ensure that the image also speaks about what you are trying to promote. Maintain visual consistency throughout. Don't use images that you don't need at all. Don't use visual that is not really necessary, or you are just trying to explain it probably, and you're now bringing different icons that not necessary in that design. So maintain visual consistency throughout. Now, I'm supposed to show you a flyer here or different categories of flyers or designs. Maybe I'll just show you my gallery. Now, let me just show you straight now. So now this is a promotional design. Yes, because what are we trying to do here? We want people, this is a program that is coming up, exam prayer most especially, and then the theme, an excellent spirit. Other text under, and not too big, not too small. And then you can catch the message from afar if you just see this design and with the image that is placed beside it. Like I said earlier, the image must be in line with the context of that event or program that you are promoting. And then it must speak also it must be well appealing to your audience also. Now, this is a promotional flyer. We want people to come for this exam prayer, and then we have to push out this. You can see how simple it is. Eye catchy. It's appealing to the eye. Well, I can hear your opinion on this actually. What do you feel about this design? The white space, like I explained earlier, the balance, the color, the font. Anybody? I want somebody to show me or tell me something about the font or something. You can just pick out something wrong in this flyer. That means there's something. Well, it's still okay, but there's something wrong with the flyer. If you can unmute or just type in the in the comment box. Okay, now for the alignment, this is the alignment here. If you can see well, since there's no ruler to check this now, I would say it's properly aligned to this part to the left. It's properly aligned, and then well, the medal is not well representing. Well, it's the title is an excellent spirit. The title of the design is an excellent spirit. So, what would you have used to present this particular theme? That's Faye. What would you have used, Abiodun? What would you have used to present this particular thing? Which image would you have used?
Probably a picture of somebody in a convocation gown, or a picture that shall connote that the person is graduating in flying colors, or the person has just seen their result and they graduated. And they had a very great result, something like that.
Yeah, that's very well. Okay, what if someone was given a medal, a gold medal? What does it represent? If you go for a competition and you're given a gold medal, what does it represent?
To represent that at least the person is the winner
Great
of the.
performance.
Yeah, it's
But I find
represents.
it mostly with sports.
Actually, that's true. When a good medal signify excellence majorly. Yeah, if you in a football competition, the best team that comes up first, always all the players are given a gold medal. Okay, someone said the medal is matching with the font color. Okay, white background is matching with the white stripe, yeah, of the medal, stripe of the medal, and the exam is matching with the color blue on the strap of the medal. Same thing with the exam, with the prayer. There is nothing wrong with the medal in the design. The medal there is the reward. Well, that's true. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with the design. Okay. It represents excellence or success. Yes, that's the good. Okay, if you notice, okay, are there lots of things meant? No, they are not. The design does not have to carry all the information. Like when the design was made, the person was like, he refused to add certain things, like the features on some things, because the person knows what the design is going to, he knows the kind of design he wants to do, and he needs it to be a bit, well, to grab the attention of people. Now, if you notice something in this design, there is consistency in color. Yeah, there's consistency in the color from the logo to the images used and the color of the fonts used also. So that's one thing you need to know when you are doing a design. Know the colors you want to use. Okay, the location. Someone says she's concerned about the location. Okay, Akinola, the location is quite small. It should be bigger than this actually. I think that's one error in this design. And also, when we go back to the font, let me count the fonts. 1, 2, there are 4 fonts in this particular design. There are 4 fonts, which is quite much. It's quite much, but it still speaks well to the eye. So now, the logo, the location is meant to be bigger than this. Yes, that's one error I would point out from this. This can be classified as a promotional flyer because it went straight to the point. Exam prayer. That's this particular, okay, Deeper Life Campus Fellowship, University of Ilorin, present exam prayer, themed and excellent spirits, date, time, location, and then an image to illustrate the theme of the program. Yes, it speaks well of it. Well, that's just that on this. So I'll just go back to my slide and then we'll continue. Okay, so like I said, this is my canvas and I just want to show you something real quick from this. Yes, this is what I just want to do. This is the something. No, this wasn't completed, but in the video it was completed. Just for you to know, or just navigate through the Photoshop workspace. Now I use the the text U on my keyboard to activate the shape tool. Draw a shape just like you see. I remove the outline. Now the reason why this is like this because the text, the shape is white, is whitish. So it's going to be like this for now. And then I'll just change the color. The properties channel, this particular place is where I used to change the color and then edit different any property on this particular shape. Okay, so you can just follow suit and then I'll be explaining as it goes. I had to curve the edges. Yes, and then I create what they call distort. What I did here was I curve the edges and then transform this particular image, Control T to transform it. And then I press Control, then I right click to open this particular property and then click on distort. Then I can distort this particular image, this particular text on any anchor point. I hold on this anchor point and drag it that way. Yes, hold on it, drag it to the particular size you feel it's okay. And then I duplicated it. When you're working on Photoshop, sometimes your layers, which is this particular place, are usually much and there are plenty. So what to do to overcome this is to label each layer as you do that, as you progress, label the layers. So after I do this, I'll just go straight and label this first one shadow, label this other one the main shape that is needed. And one thing, after you've distorted a shape in Photoshop, trust me, you cannot use the property tool again, probably to edit any other thing, except you want to do something related to it. You want to change the color, you have to go to this particular place here, and then blend option, open everything. What I wanted to open here was the color overlay. Because I was creating a shadow, it was already set already in my Photoshop. So just hit the enter. We're going to edit the shadow. We also distort, like we see earlier. Yes, we distort it. Make it fit to the particular shape and position you need. Okay. Yes, this is the image. Now this is a conference room, and you want to create a promotional flyer for a particular organization using the said issue. For instance, you're told to create a promotional flyer for their conference room. They want people to start, using it because it has been there for a while. It has not been used. So now you get your images, get everything you need. Now you can just get a template online and then follow suit. Now this is it. The image is brought here now. I want to create a clipping marks. I want this particular image to fit into the shape I just created. It is called clipping marks. And then in Photoshop, you hold your Alt key with your hand still placed on that particular image you want to clip. Then you hold the Alt key, shift it down. That's just a shortcut to it. Hold the Alt key, shift it down, like I showed you earlier. Yes, something like this I showed you. Hold Alt key, shift it down. Yes, it will show this. Then you hit your mouse and then it clips immediately. Yes, so this is how it's done. And then I just have to create a stroke on this. How do I do this? Get back to this particular function, hit on stroke. Yes, my stroke is already set to what I need already. So 10. The blend mode is normal, opacity is 100, and then the color white, then hit OK. Then that is it. Then I'm going to create my hue to create another, to select my shape tool. Yes, this is what was created. Now I'll just edit the color with what I want. Make sure you remove highlights, very important. Make sure you remove highlights. Yes, I duplicated that particular image, and I'm going to show you what was done there. Flip it horizontal, scale it very high, reduce the opacity. Yes, reduce the opacity. Remember, we are trying to create a promotional flyer on conference room. So I reduce the opacity so well. That's not the focus. The focus, this is my focus here. This page here, where my white arrow is the focus. They need to see it properly. Okay, so and I noticed that if you look at this place, there's some sharp edges here, and I don't need it. That's as a result of the image I placed under. So what do? I create a max on it, which is this. I create a max on it, which will make me edit that particular image. I hit my brush tool, B on my keyboard, and then erase it. Make sure it is not the opacity is normal, it's 100%. The flow is 100, and smoothness is 10%. Yes. So you just did that. Then you can see how it blends smoothly. And then I want to add another image to this. Remove the stroke on it. Carry it up. Yes. I'm going to just group these particular images I've done so that my work will not be looking much on me. And then I'll just name it main or major. Yes. Name it major. And then because that's the major context in this particular design. Okay, so I've imported what I want to use. This is another aspect, another view of this particular conference room. The same way I clipped it inside, that's what I did. Then it was clipped inside. Then I'm going to just edit and create a shadow on this. Yes, after creating the stroke on it, the same way I did it earlier. And then I'm going to create a shadow on this. You notice something, I bent it a little. And once you distort a shape, can no longer use this particular property to edit. Okay, so watch how I'm going to create the shadow on this. Place it under. Remove the, yes. Watch closely. So if there's any question, you can just ask. Probably I'm going to make a video to address each of those questions. Okay, watch closely. Now I'm going to distort it to fit the shadow I'm looking for. Yes, I'll distort it. Right click, distort, and then you edit. Yes.
We can't see your video again, sir.
It's circle. I'm going to change the color real quick. Yes, that particular one. And then we can place our logo right over there. So now let's just add text. Using my shape tool also, I just have to create a small box so I can fit in my text. Curve the edges a bit. Yes. That's where I'm going to put my footer. My footer will just be there. Remove the stroke, like I said earlier, and then make it white. Make it fit properly. Remember I said you group your work and label them. Very important. It makes you organized whenever you are making design. You can easily navigate whenever whenever you're doing your design. Yes. So let me just input my text right over here. Okay, so I went to, yes, this is it. I just copied it from the previous design I did earlier. And then I'll make it fit in. Yes, and then after you are done with that, now this is the capacity of this particular conference room. And then the major text, which is this. Okay. Yes, let's move from here. I'll just head on to this place, get the text from here. Now, for those of us that are new to Photoshop, what I did, I'll just double click on that particular text. It's going to make an highlight on it, and then you can edit it from there. Double click on it to make an highlight. That's what I've been doing for a while. Okay, so I'm going to rescale this because the image is taking lots of space. I'll rescale this, move it upward